this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
If audiobooks are your thing and you've been meaning to listen to more of them, you should check out a podcast called Earsay, the Audible and iHeart Audio Club, hosted by Cal Penn. Each episode spotlights standout audiobooks on Audible across all kinds of genres: sci-fi, comedy, romance, thrillers, and more, with Cal talking to guests who help break down what makes each story worth listening to. It's a fun, easy way to discover your next great audiobook. Check out Earsay on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The universe is full of mysteries. Black holes, quantum physics, galaxies. On TikTok, millions of people are learning more about the universe around them every day. Scientists break down complex theories, demonstrate experiments, and connect dots between the cosmos and our daily lives. One scroll might reveal the concepts on the fabric of space-time, the next an optical illusion. It's discovery on a massive scale, where millions learn something new every day.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark, and there's Charles W. Chuck Bryant. We're just batching it, going stag today for Stuff You Should Know.
Yeah, our date's not here.
No, we're one another's date. Whether you like it or not, I'm your date.
Were you a big school dance guy?
I was big at staying away from them.
You didn't go to those things?
I went to like one or two in like 8th grade maybe, but I learned my lesson early on.
I gotcha. No prom?
Yeah, I mean, I went to prom and all that, but you know, like the normal school dances and things like that, like the Under the Sea dance in 1955. I didn't go to those.
We only had two. We had homecoming and prom, and that's it.
Oh, well, I think in Ohio there was so little to do that there were tons of dances all the time.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Man, just like in the movies.
It is just like in the movies. When it's super cold outside and you're just stuck inside, everybody's just got to dance.
Oh, I guess we were just outdoors in the heat and humidity.
Right. You had hiking, we had dances.
So what's this got to do with golden records?
I don't know.
This is kind of cool. Very 70s.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. It doesn't get much more 70s than this. Actually, this one and the other one that we're doing today
I know.
are about as 70s as it gets. But yeah, so we're talking about, Chuck, two golden records, two very special golden records, identical in every way. They were pressed in a series of, I'm not sure how many, because I once saw Carl Sagan messing with one. So there may be 3, there may be 4, I don't know. But there are at least 2. And right now, these very, very special gold records are somewhere outside of our solar system. They are aboard 2 space probes, Voyager 1 and 2, that were launched in 1977. And the Voyager probes are the first 2 human-made objects to travel beyond our solar system, which is pretty cool in and of itself.
Yeah, there are billions of miles, about 13 billion miles from Earth right now.
Right.
Going very fast.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Carl Sagan. This was his sort of baby. And the idea is, hey, let's launch something into outer space the sort of reason was in case another civilization, an extraterrestrial being or life force could come across it. This will be our greeting to them. Mm-hmm. But when you read into it, it's probably really unlikely that might happen. And it was sort of a PR thing for NASA and also just like made us feel better, I think.
Yeah, and like you're saying, it's very 70s in that it was part of this kind of larger trend in the 70s, mostly helmed by Carl Sagan, from what I could tell, where there was this kind of push to get the world to agree, like becoming part of some galactic, community would be a good thing for humanity, and start thinking beyond the realms of Earth, but at the same time thinking about Earth and how we can take care of it. It was all kind of intertwined and connected, and it all kind of took shape in this kind of collective human project of creating messages in bottles and shooting them out into space. And the wisdom of that today is questioned by some people, including me. Oh yeah, there are some people who say like, It's not necessarily the best thing to do to start sending messages into space before we have much of a clue of what, if anything, is out there. It just isn't the safest play you could make. But at the time, and I saw a quote from Frank Drake, who was heavily involved in these projects, he said, back then everybody was an optimist. Like there was nobody who wondered like whether this was a smart or foolish thing to do. Like, of course it was a good idea. Of course whoever we contacted would be friendly. So why would we not want to get in touch with them? And that was kind of like this driving thing, like this optimism and enthusiasm for reaching out beyond Earth and kind of saying, hey, we're here and we want everybody to take us seriously now. That was a big 70s thing and kind of the drive behind this golden record thing.
Yeah, and one thing is for sure, if you don't feel great about it and other people don't feel great about it, TS. It is far too late to have that concern.
That is a real argument about this because, yeah, like you were saying, they're billions of miles, or as Sagan would put it, billions and billions of miles from Earth. I think something like 13 billion miles by now, traveling 38,000 miles per hour constantly. So yeah, the cat is out of the bag, as it were. The probe is out of the solar system. So it is too late. But we can still poo-poo it and question whether it was foolish or not in retrospect. That's fun.
Yeah, it's fun to poop on Carl Sagan's dreams.
Hey, you know me, man. Sagan is one of my heroes.
Yeah.
He was a pretty interesting cat. But these golden records, like you said, they were kind of his baby. And we were talking about the Voyager probe and the golden records almost interchangeably. The golden records are aboard Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, which have shot out into the solar system and will be drifting in space unless somebody grabs them and says, what's on here, shakes it, and the records fall out. They'll just keep going forever. And they actually built these golden records so that they'll last at least 1 billion years by most estimates, vacuum sealed in the further vacuum of space, covered by an aluminum cover that will protect it from cosmic rays, basically indefinitely for all those of us alive are concerned.
Yeah, and they're we keep saying golden records. They are gold plated. They're not solid gold like the dancers. They are copper, and they are covered in gold. And they went with that because that was just, well, a few reasons. One is obviously we had tape, but tape would disintegrate eventually.
Yeah, right.
We did not have digital storage like we do today. Today, if we wanted to do this, we can include whatever we wanted, basically. We could include like all of humanity, every recipe, every song, every movie, every painting, anything we wanted, every speech ever made. But back then they figured a record was the way to go. And this copper gold plated record was the thing that would hold up the best.
Yeah, that's actually funny you bring that up because I was thinking of doing an episode on DNA data storage where you can put literally all of the world's information into like encoded in DNA. This is like the opposite of that. Yes. I think the onboard computers for Voyager, Ruse helps us with this one. He said that they had something like 67 kilobytes of RAM, of memory aboard.
Crazy?
Yeah, and you're like, wow, we've really come a long way. But think about how elegant that code had to be.
Oh, yeah.
To drive these two space probes that were not only like these weren't just like, hey, let's see how far we can shoot this thing, like skipping a rock on a pond. Like these rocks had cameras and equipment and engines and all sorts of things aboard that were run and operated by these onboard computers that had 67 kilobytes of RAM. That is spectacularly impressive.
Yeah, it doesn't seem possible, actually.
But actually, I mean, I was going to say they're out there, but we're just kind of taking it on faith that they are. The whole thing could be one big lie.
All right, so if we're going to talk about golden records, we need to talk about what preceded the golden records. Dave calls it a rough draft, and that's kind of a good way to put it. Mm-hmm. But in the early 70s, there were the Pioneer 10 and 11 missions. These were two space probes launched past the asteroid belt, and their goal was to take the first pictures up close of Jupiter and Saturn. And we can't communicate with these guys anymore. They are way, way out there. But Sagan went to NASA and said, hey, what do you think of sending a message in a bottle, basically, like you mentioned, a cosmic message? And NASA, everyone was smoking weed back then.
Right. Including Carl Sagan.
Oh, I'm sure. I bet that Sagan weed was good too.
Yeah, we talked about it. Remember in the Nuclear Winter
Right.
episode that he discovered weed. Actually, he might not have been smoking weed at the time of the Pioneer plaques, though.
Oh, you think? Was that pre?
I think so. I
Enlightenment?
think that came later when he met Ann Drury.
Oh, she was the influence, huh?
I think so.
All right. Well, at any rate, NASA said that's a cool idea. Let's do this. At the time, he was married to his second wife, Linda Salzman Sagan, and the aforementioned Frank Drake, who was one of his old Cornell buddies. And they came up with a plaque, an inscripted plaque for this launch.
Right. So one of the very famous things on this Pioneer plaque was an etching of a naked man and a naked woman, and they're anatomically correct.
And very impressive.
Yeah, super. Almost shamingly so.
Yeah.
But they they really went to town on the guy, didn't they?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people, I actually couldn't find any contemporary articles on it. But there was this, at least enough of a public outcry that it's worth noting against spending taxpayer money on creating what some people called space porn. Because I guess since 1972 and 73, people had, a real aversion to
The human
line
body.
drawings of naked men and naked women put onto a plaque and sent out into space, even though what they were trying to say is, hey, these are what humans look like. How about it? What do you think? You like what you see?
Yeah. I mean, Dave said there was an uproar. I'm not sure if it was quite that bad, but
Right.
it was a thing enough that NASA, well, we'll talk about what happened later on on their second attempt at naked bodies.
Right. And well, even today, I want to say one more thing. Even today on about those, some people are like, well, notably, they're both white people. Or if you look, the woman's standing a little more demurely than the man is. But these were not things that Sagan and his friends were thinking of at the time. They were like just trying to say this is what humans look like with the amount of space that we have. And it's worth pointing out, too, if you look at the picture of the man, he's holding his hands up like, hey, how's it going? He's kind of waving in like a friendly gesture.
Sure. Just like, hey, I'm just standing here naked. How you doing? Here's my penis.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Did you bring your keys? This is the 70s.
And this whole thing, by the way, you should just look it up if you've never seen this. It's kind of cool looking. It's very 70s, and it you can get it on a T-shirt. Which if I ever saw one of these out, that's a very super nerdy sort of in the know T-shirt to have, I would think.
Yeah, for sure.
But the other three things, so you got the naked bodies, and you've got friendly man waving.
Yeah.
The lady's just standing there like, I guess he's speaking for me because it is the 70s. And there are three other inscriptions that are all attempts to basically map where the Earth is in the universe and in our solar system. Something that they would do later on the Golden Records. That was an important part of both of these things, is to say, like, not only who we are, but where are we? And this is where we are on the map.
Yeah, which is like really hard to do. I mean, not just the idea that this might not be found for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of years. So you're trying to communicate in the future, like that nuclear semiotics episode that we did.
Yeah.
But you're also trying to communicate to somebody who is not even human, has never been to Earth, has no idea what we're talking about. And then you add the third layer of that when they approached NASA with this plaque idea, NASA said, that's a really great idea. Let's do it. Give it to us yesterday.
Right.
So they had to come up with it really quickly. And Frank Drake is kind of the unsung hero in a lot of this because he was a very intelligent astronomer, one of the founders of SETI, the guy who originated the Drake equation, which is a probabilistic formula for figuring out how the probability of whether there's alien life or not in the universe. Just an all-around cool guy. But he was not the science communicator like Sagan was. So Sagan gets a lot of credit, not necessarily because he was hogging it, but just because he was the face or the mouthpiece of all these projects. But Frank Drake came up with a lot of these ideas, and he was the one who came up with this universal key for figuring things like distance and time and getting that across to an alien civilization. And it was just straight up genius in its simplicity, but also in its universality too.
Yeah, so it is interesting. It is like the semiotics episode in that thought experiment of like, how would I communicate with something that, it clearly, you just can't write out something in English. Right. So they went, like you said, very smartly with hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. And they were like, if there's something that's going to find this, they're going to know what hydrogen is. There are a lot of assumptions made, but the assumption that they would know what hydrogen is was a pretty good starting point, I think.
I agree. That is a very good assumption. Most abundant element in the universe, like you said. If you are traveling out in the universe, you have any kind of grasp on chemistry, you know about hydrogen, and you probably have studied it pretty well. And the idea is, if you're a spacefaring civilization and you've come across the space probe, you kind of would have to be, you probably at least have that most basic understanding of chemistry, which is presumed to be universal, right?
Yeah, so the deal with hydrogen atoms is very, very, very rarely this happens, but it does happen. The electron will start spinning in a different direction, and it'll change energy states. Pretty good band name. This is known as hyperfine transition.
Sure.
Math rock, I guess?
Gotta be. Maybe Prague. But math rock for sure.
And when this happens, they release a pulse of electromagnetic radiation, and the key here is that it has a fixed wavelength and period.
Right. So no matter where you are in the universe, if you know about hydrogen, you know that it takes 0.7 nanoseconds for this transition to take place, and that it releases an energy, a little bolt of lightning, basically, with the wavelength of, what is it?
21 centimeters.
21 centimeter wavelength, right? So this is just, no matter where you are in the universe, we assume hydrogen has these properties. And so Frank Drake came along and thought, well, you know what? If that's true everywhere in the universe, and we basically put a little symbol there of a hydrogen atom going into another hydrogen atom, showing the two different energy states, they'll say, oh, hydrogen, we know about that. Oh, they're talking about the transfer of, or the translation between energy states, the hyperfine transition. We know all about that. So now we can use those numbers that are going to be the same everywhere in the universe as a key to multiply and divide with, and basically use that as a measure of time and distance that's going to be used in the rest of the schematic that they put on the Pioneer plaque.
Yeah, the only other constant that they had in mind was the fact that Sammy Hagar can't drive 55. Right. Oh, wait, this would have been before that, I guess.
They should have just had him deliver the plaque all over the place, you know?
Yeah, in that sweet Ferrari or whatever that was.
He would drive at least 38,000 miles per hour if he got the chance, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely.
So, they didn't have Sammy Hagar available. I think in 1972, he wasn't as well known as he is today, obviously.
No.
So instead, they put these things aboard the Pioneer. And then in addition to that hyperfine hyperfine transition, not superfine.
Superfly.
Right. They created a diagram of our place in the universe. And here is another way that Frank Drake shined. He said, okay, if you were an alien civilization, what would you use to basically as signposts around the universe? And he figured out that pulsars would probably be used. And
right.
Pulsars are these incredibly dense, incredibly energetic collapsed stars. And they're usually about 12 or 13 miles in diameter. So roughly the size of a city, small, like a city.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the mass many, many, many times our own sun. So very, very dense. And they spin really fast. And as they spin, they release these bursts of energy. And when you're looking at them, that burst of energy gets directed at you at a certain rate, a certain repeating rate, basically like a lighthouse. These are celestial lighthouses. And because they spin differently, each one has a different frequency or a different rate of strobe, basically. And so you can say, well, this pulsar has this rate, that's this pulsar. I know that's over here. Let's see where this other pulsar is. And Frank Drake chose 14 pulsars and basically said, here's their distance from our sun. Now, if you can find these pulsars, you can use that as basically a map back to our solar system.
Yeah, and it's cool looking. If you look at the picture, it looks sort of like a bicycle wheel with spokes, except there's no tube or tire, and the spokes are at varying lengths.
Yeah, something's missing. The tire's missing.
Yeah, the tire's missing. I said that.
For sure.
It would be a very awkward bike to ride.
It would, because like you said, they're at varying lengths, so it'd there'd be a up and a down. It would not be comfortable, Chuck.
Yeah, so the idea is that they could see this, they would understand what it means, these assumptions again, and they would compare their current map of the pulsars. So this enables a timestamp basically as a secondary function, because all this stuff is changing. So if they compared where they are whenever this thing gets found, presumably, to where it was spoked out in 1972 or whatever, then they could determine how many millions of years had passed since this thing was launched.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. I mean, like the distance from the pulsars to the sun are spelled out in like binary code, that if you multiply that by the wavelength of the hyperfine transition, you get the actual distance. The frequency of those pulsars, you can figure out which pulsar they're talking about because you multiply that binary code by the time period of the hyperfine transition. It was just like Frank Drake came up with a universal way to create a roadmap around the universe, no matter where you are. It's just mind-blowing that they came up with this, especially on the fly, too.
Yeah, a time-stamped roadmap even. It's pretty amazing.
It really is pretty amazing. So this is what they put aboard the Pioneer plaque. Naked man and woman, line drawing, very impressive. And then the one of the most ingenious two-dimensional maps anyone's ever devised that could be used anywhere in the universe.
Yeah, and this was a little dry run for what would come next, which are the golden records. And maybe we take a break now and then talk about those?
We take a break now.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pretreaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic. Spectrum Business keeps businesses of all sizes connected seamlessly with fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi, phone, TV, and mobile services.
That's right. And Spectrum Business offers 100% U.S.-based customer support 24/7 to help you stay up and running. And they offer tailored connectivity solutions with packages built for your business budget.
Yeah, so it's no wonder millions of business owners rely on Spectrum Business to keep them connected. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas. Stuff you should know. Okay, so Chuck, we took our break and we're back. Mm-hmm. And there was one other little kind of test run. Carl Sagan got to work on something called the LAGEOS or LAGEOS. I'm going to go with LAGEOS, Laser Geodynamic Satellite. which was a satellite. And he was like, this is going to be kind of cool. This thing will be in orbit around Earth for 8.4 million years. I'm going to leave a little hello, how do you do, to any civilization who might find it millions of years from now. And so this thing has an inscription of Pangea from, I think, 268 million years ago. The arrangement of the continents today during human time, and he very ingeniously indicates this by having that hand. Remember the man with his hand up in a friendly gesture? He places that next to the current arrangement. And then what the continents will look like 8.4 million years from now when Lajeos is going to come back down to Earth. So this is kind of like just another cool little side diversion that I think he did for fun.
Yeah, so he's got these little dry runs going on. By the time the Voyager comes along, he's like, you know what? This is the mid to late 70s. We need to really get a better message out there and let everyone know who we are as humans. So one thing we really want to do is put pieces of culture, music. He got together with Timothy Ferris, who worked for Rolling Stone magazine, wrote about music and space stuff for Rolling Stone. He was part of the project, and they said, yeah, music's definitely got to be in there. We need to put in some classical music because, like, anyone should be able to hear classical music and understand the mathematical beauty that's going on there.
Even if, like, they chose that because even if aliens don't have ears or any way to hear it, if they understand math, they can kind of translate it and be like, wow, this is pretty neat what these people did with this math.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So Frank Drake is on board again, the unsung genius of this stuff. And he's the one that came up with the idea for the actual record, like I said, which would last much, much longer. I think, would you say it was like 1 million years or something?
Billion.
A billion years is how long it would last?
Yeah, that's what they shot for.
And here's the other benefit of using a record, is we play LPs, standard LPs, at 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. You don't have to play them like that. You can slow them down, and you can pack a lot more stuff on there. That accounts for about 23 minutes a side. They slowed them down to half that, 16 2/3 revolutions per minute. And they did a lot of crunching, basically, and tightening. And they ended up getting about an hour's worth per side on these golden records of information. Yeah,
which is pretty impressive in and of itself. They said, okay, great, we can fit a lot more sounds on there than just a normal LP, right? But they also figured out, I'm not sure if Frank Drake came up with this or if he, I think it was reported to him that this was possible, but somebody found out that there was a company called Colorado Video that had pioneered a way to take television images and convert them into audio. And then you could take that audio, and if you use the right algorithm, you could convert that audio back into a visual signal, a television signal again.
Amazing.
Yeah, so they're like, this is great. We can actually not only put sounds and music and words on these records, we can embed images too. And so they got with Colorado Video, and Colorado Video carried that out for them, which is something we'll talk about. But one of the things they were able to add was actual images. So if you were an alien that came across this golden record out there on Voyager 1 or Voyager 2, and you followed the instructions, which we'll talk about, you could create or recreate the pictures that are embedded as sound in these records.
Amazing.
Mind-blowing 70s stuff here.
Oh, totally. So you've got these records, which if records don't have to be vinyl. Like I said, these are copper covered in gold. And if you look at them, they just look like regular LPs that are gold in color.
Super shiny.
Very, very shiny. But then they have on top, they have this cover that you said was made of aluminum, and it's basically round and, the exact same size of the LP. It's not like a square record LP sleeve or whatever that we're used to. But on this cover are all the instructions for what these people are going to be looking at and holding. Well, these people. Listen to me.
These persons.
In my human-centric mindset here.
What's it called? Anthropocentric?
I guess so. Whatever these beings are, when they get these records, on the cover is everything you need to know about what it is and how to play it.
Yeah. So again, they ran into the same problem of how do you, first of all, we didn't even know that we could embed video into audio signals on a record. How are you going to teach an alien to recreate this and see the pictures? They had to figure out how to do this using binary code, pictographs. The easiest first step was to include a cartridge and stylus. So there's actually like a needle to play the record with, but that's not intuitive necessarily if you're an alien. So they included a little drawing of the record and where you should place the needle and how to place the needle.
Well, the needle's already in place, though.
Oh, is it already in place? Okay.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
All right, so why not make it as easy as possible on the aliens? Okay, so they were saying don't touch anything, use it like this. Right. That was one. They also had kind of like a 4-step, step-by-step instructions on the algorithm that they would need to use to turn the audio into video. Right. And it shows that it's supposed to create 512 interlaced lines, kind of like an old-time TV. You know how it's like all lines, just horizontal lines? Well, it's actually interweaved of horizontal vertical. And then they used a test picture. On the cover of the album, there's a square with a circle in it. And that's actually the first picture that will come up if you're doing this right. So it was kind of like saying, if you can recreate this, you're on the right track. Yeah. And again, it's ingenious. I can't make heads or tails of it, but I'm guessing if you and I were pilots for an alien civilization, just skirting around, talking smack. We came across Voyager 1 or 2, and we found this thing. We would probably take it back to our top minds. We wouldn't try to figure it out ourselves, or we would, but we wouldn't get anywhere. But you would bet that if we put, our best scientists on this problem, they could probably decipher this and figure it out.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so. Because if not, it's all for naught.
Well, I mean, you just got to take your best stab at it. And this is a pretty good stab.
I did see a guy on Boing Boing back in, I think, 2000. I'm not sure. Not too long ago. He tried it and was able to successfully do it following the instructions on the... So at least one person figured it out. Well,
that's good. Unless he was just this super intelligent alien in a human skin sack, then that's a good try. So the other thing it included on the cover was that same thing from the Pioneer plaque, that pulsar map, because he was like, we already figured this out, so this is great. There's no need to change this thing. Just throw that on there as well. And then there are these 4 inscriptions basically teaching them how to decipher all these images and using binary symbols again.
If they get that algorithm.
Yeah, and if they get to that circle, which Dave pointed out, like, how do they know if it's not backwards or something?
I thought of that too, but I also saw pointed out that they chose a circle specifically because it shows that you have the correct horizontal and vertical aspect, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. It's like the old days when you would adjust your horizontal and vertical hold.
Yes, exactly. So the circle, if it looks like that circle isn't flatter or thinner or whatever, you've got the right vertical and horizontal aspect. I think that's why they chose that circle. And I have to say, Chuck, I feel really uncomfortable here because it's pretty tough to stump both of us, right, at the same time.
Sure.
And so it's kind of bugged me researching this whole episode. And I think part of it is that Frank Drake and Ann Druyan and Tim Ferriss and Carl Sagan made this stuff up.
Is it Tim Ferriss?
Yeah, it is Tim Ferriss. So Timothy Ferriss, not Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Workweek guy.
Right.
But Timothy Ferriss. But that they made this stuff up in the hopes that an alien civilization will understand it. And a lot of it does make sense, but it's not necessarily intuitive. But it's also not necessarily something that I think you could go to school and learn. You just kind of have to be vibing on what this small group of people came up in this ad hoc way as a message on behalf of humanity out to any alien civilization that found it, which makes me feel a lot better about failing to fully understand every aspect of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. There is one final piece before because everyone's like, yeah, but what's on there?
We're not going to tell you.
The last little sort of nerdy piece is they wanted to timestamp this one too on the cover, so they included on the surface of the thing a little tiny piece of uranium-238.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's a radioactive isotope that has a half-life of 4.5 billion years, and it decays at a steady rate, which is perfect because if you found this thing, millions or billions of years later, they would be able to analyze that little patch of uranium and pinpoint exactly when this thing was launched.
And if all that makes sense and you weren't confused by it, go listen to our Carbon-14 episode so you can become confused by it.
That's right.
Okay?
So can we talk about what was on this thing?
No. We have to. And of course we should. And we want to. But we had to build it up, and get it to the point where everyone understood the technical difficulty that was involved in getting these things. Because today it's like, I want a CD. Actually, it's hard to make a CD today. Mm-hmm. But say it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. You want to make a CD? Easy as pie, right? This was all just making stuff up at the time to put on records. And then in addition to that, they had to choose this stuff from all of the things you could possibly choose from humanity to kind of give as clear and round and deep and wide a picture of what makes humans human and what makes Earth Earth, and what demonstrates our understanding of all this to somebody who's never met us before. That is a really big task, and that's what they were facing when they curated this collection.
Yeah, because like we said, it's not like you have an infinite amount of images to stuff on there. They basically said, all right, you got space for, I saw 116 images. Mm-hmm. So go at it. What 116 things will best crystallize what planet Earth and humanity is all about?
Right.
So the first thing they did was some like astronomical images, scientific diagrams and stuff like that chart where we are in the solar system to basically say, here's where we are, here's what our mass is, here's how far the planets are from the sun, and just kind of a broad overview of what our solar system is.
Right.
Pretty good place to start.
It is. And then it kind of drills down a little more into biology and our understanding of nature and cells and cell division. And then that kind of nicely transitions to human biology.
Sure.
So cell division into a fetus. And then they apparently had a picture of a naked man and woman again. Couldn't get enough of that stuff. And NASA said, no, you sickos. We'll take this man and woman picture, but we're going to black them out so that it's just a filled-in silhouette. Like what were those called? The shadow portrait when you were in like elementary school?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? So like they would shine a light on you and then they would basically cut your shadow out in construction paper and then you would have a filled-in black silhouette of yourself from a profile. Yeah.
I think I remember that.
Basically like that, but this is a full frontal, blacked out silhouette of a man and a woman. But
defeats
NASA
the purpose.
Said, it does, but NASA said, we're not going to totally defeat the purpose. That fetus from the last slide, we're going to put that in the center of the woman's abdomen, and then that will justify our prudency.
I guess so. I sort of get it, but it's just dumb. I mean, they weren't like, hey, put khakis and a blazer on the guy. Like, you got to show the parts, man. You got to show the naked parts and what we look like.
Get some Dockers on there.
Yeah, I almost said Dockers. That's funny.
So they also showed a woman breastfeeding, which I thought was really great considering that they blacked out the nudity otherwise. Mm-hmm. And then they show like human development, kids in school, people eating. There's one slide of a person licking an ice cream cone, somebody eating a sandwich, and then somebody drinking a glass of water all in one image. They really crammed a lot of info into that.
That was a good one.
Things like our agriculture and growing food, and then nature also. Because it wasn't all just about humans, but
no, of course
Earth
not.
itself as well.
You got to have the birds and the flowers and the fishies. You got to have insects. You got to have the Great Barrier Reef and mountain ranges. It showed humans doing things like gymnastics, I imagine, which was might be a very confusing thing to see.
Yeah, well, the first picture they submitted was naked gymnastics. And NASA said, go get us another one.
Is there any other kind?
As a matter of fact, there is.
And then they go to art, of course, pictures of musical instruments, paintings, the Great Wall of China, skyscrapers, trains, cars, airplanes, rockets. They did not put stuff like religion or disease or crime or war or poverty. They didn't want it to be a bummer. They kind of just wanted to show like the achievements of humanity, I think.
Have you seen, did you look at all these images?
I didn't look at all of them. I looked at a lot of them and I listened to a lot of the stuff.
So Yumi got me this set of like anniversary set. I think there was a Kickstarter a couple of years back where people wanted to like reissue it on records. So Yumi got me the set, and it comes with like the liner notes are just amazing and everything. And you go through and you look at the pictures, and they're like, I find the entire set combined to be rather unsettling.
Yeah, it is.
A very like 70s educational film way.
Yeah.
They don't have like a coherent look to them, which I understand. Like there's not a coherent look to the world or to Earth.
Yeah.
But there's just there was no unifying design or anything like that. It was just this random assemblage of pictures and diagrams. Some were black and white, some are blacked out, some are just silhouettes, some are full color. It's almost like jarring in the way of like that book Wisconsin Death Trip that I'm always talking about is. Like what that is in text, this almost is in pictures. And that's what we sent out there. For some reason, it just stirs something in me that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's not fully pleasant, you know?
Yeah, I had the same reaction. It was, well, you know what it would look like. It looked like a set of images curated by a bunch of scientists.
Yeah, it did, as a matter of fact. Scientists on grass.
Yeah, like would it have killed them to get Annie Leibovitz in there or some sort of designer?
That's what I'm saying. And Anne Druyan was like an artist.
Yeah, that's true.
But she was, I think, a writer. I think Sagan's previous wife, who I think they became separated during this process, I believe she was a visual artist. So maybe her not being part of that project is that kind of unsettling aspect. You know what I'm saying? Like she would have brought that there and didn't. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Chuck, actually, hold on. I've identified it. Have you ever heard of, Scarfolk Council?
Nope.
You do. It's like this 70s British PSAs and educational films, but they're all really dark and evil. You've seen it before. I've shown it to you.
Okay.
It's almost like Scarfolk Council chose the pictures that are in this.
All right. I'll have to look that back up again.
You should. You'll be like, as a matter of fact, Josh, I think you've just put your finger on it.
All right. So that's side one. Side A, as it were, has all these images cut into the grooves of this thing. Ingenious.
And it's also, they have their own sound. So like if you're just sitting there listening to the record, these pictures have their own sound that lasts a few seconds each. But if you run it through the algorithm, those sounds are translated into images. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's neat that they have their own sound, you know?
Oh, totally. Well, it's going to make some kind of sound.
Exactly.
So side B, if you flip it over, it's the audio portion. And so this is where we get a little more, well, I don't know about more interesting, but it's definitely 70s and sort of spacey when you listen to some of this stuff.
I would say the entirety of the sound side is super 70s spacey, like real trippy and cosmic and mellow. Even the stuff that's like a, traditional folk music that they included, it's all comes from a real like super marijuana-y place.
Marijuana-y?
Yeah.
Stony?
Sure, stony.
That's what the kids call it.
But more like they just took marijuana and pressed it into music.
Well, the first thing is an audio recording of just a sort of a, hey, how you doing? This is what you're about to listen to. Recorded by Kurt Waldheim, the Austrian Secretary General of the UN at the time.
He starts out with
And he said this, we step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate.
I think those are beautiful words.
It's very cool. Jimmy Carter included a printed copy. For some reason, he didn't speak it. I'm not sure why. Maybe they didn't have a room.
He famously hated his voice.
Did he really?
No.
Okay. Do you want to read that? That's kind of long. We should just say it's pretty great as well.
It is great. And he basically says we are working on our own problems here on Earth, but we want to join this cosmic community.
That's right.
One day. And this is our first entree into that. This is us saying hello.
Right. And then speaking of saying hello, the next thing that you're going to hear are 55 greetings in 55 languages. And the kind of bummer of this here is it's not like they were able, because they had to do this pretty fast. You know, like you said, NASA didn't give them a lot of time. So they couldn't necessarily go to all these countries and record people in person. Mm-hmm. So they got a lot of people who spoke these languages, but they weren't necessarily natives of that language.
And they couldn't find all the languages. So I think one that a lot of people point to that was unfortunately left out was Swahili. So there's no message from someone in Swahili on it. But they did do a lot of languages considering what they were dealing with. And I think originally, too, they presumed they would just go to the UN and get each ambassador from each country there to record a message in their native language. But somebody pointed out that almost all the ambassadors there at the time were men, mm-hmm. and Sagan and his crew definitely wanted a pretty even mix of men and women.
Yeah.
So they had to kind of on the fly figure out, we need to get some Cornell faculty to get in on this. And they managed to pull out, what was it, 55 languages?
Yeah, 55. And some of these, they didn't tell people what to say, just some sort of greeting and however you would want to greet people in your language. And some of these are pretty fun. The Amoy one, which is part of the Min dialect, says this: "Friends of space, how are you all? Have you eaten yet? Come visit us if you have time."
If you have time. We don't want to put you out by making you feel obligated.
The Zulu said, "We greet you, great ones. We wish you longevity." Yeah, they're kind of, saying, we're going to assume that you can wipe us all out, so I'm just going to throw some compliments out at you.
That's like one step away from eldritch gods.
Right.
The Persian one was pretty good. "Hello to the residents of the far skies." And the Polish one says, "Welcome creatures beyond our world." That's scary, but I like it.
And like you said, the English one was, "What's up?"
Right.
No, the English one was actually Carl Sagan and Linda Saltzman Sagan's son, Nick. It's very cute. He's 6 years old and improvised this: "Hello from the children of planet Earth."
Booyah.
Very nice.
It was very nice. So that was just kind of like a bunch of different greetings, saying hello. It comes and goes pretty quick, even though there's 55 entries. None of them take particularly long.
Yeah.
But then after that, they started to get a little more far out. And I say we take a break and then come back. You want to?
Let's do it.
Hey, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about Tide Evo because it represents over 10 years of innovation and product development. Tide Evo is a first-of-its-kind technology where tens of thousands of minuscule fibers are spun together to form a 6 times powerful layer packed with scrubbers, brighteners, pre-treaters, and fresheners. And that's going to deliver a breakthrough clean that's so powerful, it feels like magic.
Yeah, it is kind of like magic. Tide Evo is revolutionary. A 100% concentrated, waterless laundry tile that's made of compressed microfiber soap layers rather than liquid or powder. And it's not like pods or sheets because it uses 6 layers of detergent fibers to deliver superior cold water cleaning without plastic packaging of any kind. And it provides a mess-free, lightweight solution that dissolves lickety-split. So whenever you run into a laundry challenge, turn to Tide Evo. It's revolutionary. It's magic. Try new Tide Evo. Real laundry magic. Spectrum Business keeps businesses of all sizes connected seamlessly with fast, reliable internet, advanced Wi-Fi, phone, TV, and mobile services.
That's right. And Spectrum Business offers 100% U.S.-based customer support 24/7 to help you stay up and running. And they offer tailored connectivity solutions with packages built for your business budget.
Yeah, so it's no wonder millions of business owners rely on Spectrum Business to keep them connected. Visit spectrum.com/business to learn more. Restrictions apply. Service is not available in all areas.
Stuff you should know.
All right, Chuck. So the big cliffhanger was whether this was actually going to be far out or not, if I was right. And it turns out I was right.
Yeah.
This stuff gets far out pretty quick. And I think there's no way we can't play one of the things. Which, you got to know what I'm talking about.
I think so. Music of the Spheres?
No.
Okay. The whale song?
No.
The sound essay?
Which part?
All right, well, let's just tell everyone quickly. He did include a whale song. This was Sagan's idea. He thought that, people of the future might not even, or not people of the future, here I go again. Whatever these things are, might not communicate in a language. It may be more like a whale song, so let's throw one of those on there. Plus, whale songs are nice.
Sure, everybody likes that.
Then they did this sound essay that it was an audio journey from evolution on.
Well, first thing,
a good way to say it?
It is, yeah, for sure. They included, it was kind of like a trip through time, and even before human or the evolution of life, it's supposed to kind of capture the early Earth. There's like lightning and thunder and rain. There's mud pots bubbling, volcanoes, earthquakes, all that stuff to just basically say like this is how Earth kind of came together.
Yeah, and then animals, of course.
Yeah, it's pretty cool if you think about it. To try to do an auditory progression of the evolution of Earth. So yeah, then life comes along, crickets and birds and elephants, and then humans. And this is what I wanted to play for everybody.
Yeah,
Chuck.
totally.
So I guess Timothy Ferris was kind of in charge of picking out the music, or was a big part of it, or the sound essay, and Ann Druyan did too. I think they worked together, and notably, they were actually engaged at the time, at least at the beginning of this project.
Yeah.
Timothy Ferris and Ann Druyan were.
Why do you keep calling her Druyan?
What's her last name?
I think it's just Druyan.
Oh, I like to add a little mustard to it.
All right.
So Timothy and Anne were working together on this, and for humanity, when humanity finally makes an appearance in the sound essay, right? It's one of the most bizarre presentations of humanity.
It really is.
That they could have come up like.
I have no idea what they were thinking.
I don't either. It doesn't make any sense. So there's a windswept plane, footsteps, and then laughter. Dave calls it sinister laughter, and you could definitely take it that way, but I think it can also be weird, hearty laughter, but it's odd either way. And especially when you put these elements together, it's particularly odd. So I feel like we really need to play it. It's fairly short, right?
Yeah. You failed to mention the heartbeat too, which is kind of what makes it all super creepy as well.
Okay, so here it is. This is where humans come along in the sound essay.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that is what they decided to, like, this is what humans do. They walk around with their hearts beating as loud as they can laugh on windswept plains
So strange.
where their footsteps echo behind them. That's the human experience for sure.
Yeah, so this sound essay continues, of course. Once humans come along, they go through human evolution and fire and tools and jobs like the sounds of blacksmithing and sheep herding and sawing things, and then tractors and ships and cars and planes. It's all, again, it just seems like a very 70s bong water sort of experiment.
Right.
I don't think we mentioned the music of the spheres. I teased it.
Oh, yeah, man.
There's also that. This is a 12-minute recording. Technically, it's a song, but it's based on the theories of the great mathematician Kepler, Johannes Kepler, where they ascribed a musical tone to each one of the planets.
Right.
And he worked with Bell Labs, the computer lab, and reproduced the sound of the planets in a 100-year orbit around the sun.
Yeah, and so
It's
Kepler, it is crazy. I think that's like part one of the whole sound essay, the music of the spheres. And Kepler was working off of Pythagoras' theories, actually. And the whole thing is based on this idea that an object moving through space tends to make a sound, whether it's like the whooshing of wind or a humming or whatever. An object moving will make some sort of sound. And the planets are objects, and they're really, really big objects. So they make huge sounds. And the theory was that the reason we can't hear these sounds is because we have no frame of reference for what things sound like without them. So our concept of silence is actually filled with the sounds of the planets, including Earth, moving through space. We just don't hear it because we are so attuned to it. And that each of these planets, because they move at a different rate, they're different sizes, have different mass and velocities and everything, that they'll make their own unique sound. And that when you put all these sounds together of the bodies in the solar system, they actually harmonize. And so Kepler took it a step further and actually figured out what note each celestial body would make, and then Sagan and his crew got together with Bell Labs, like you were saying, and produced that as the music of the spheres, which is, I mean, this is the kind of stuff they were doing with just a few months to create the Voyager plaque project in their entirety, or the Voyager golden records in their entirety.
Yeah, and if you go to look up Music of the Spheres on YouTube or something, it's there's a lot of stuff out there called Music of the Spheres. So it's kind of tough to find the real one. Even if you put in like Kepler, there are some wrong stuff out there that is not the real Music of the Spheres, but you can find it if you spend enough time.
Yeah, there's an actual NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab has a site for dedicated to Voyager, voyager.jpl.nasa.gov.
Yeah.
And they have all sorts of stuff about not just the golden record, but the entire Voyager 1 and 2 project, which is pretty cool in and of itself. But they have everything that's on the golden record, including the sound essay and the different components of the sound essay, and the music of the spheres is on there.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff, even though it's completely unfounded and whacked out. It's neat that they kind of nodded to this tradition by including it on there.
Oh, totally. And that's exactly where you should go. So just be warned, if you go to YouTube, you're going to get a lot of like Enya and stuff like that, because Music of the Spheres is just a very trippy title for a song.
Hey, worse things could happen to you today than stumbling across a nice Enya track that you weren't expecting to listen to.
Oh, boy. I actually had one of her CDs back in the day.
Oh, dude, that thing was on repeat. The one with the Orinoco flow.
Sail away, sail away.
That's the one.
Yeah. So the last part of the sound essay is called Life Signs, and this is where it really gets out there, as if it's not out there enough already. But Anne Druyan said, here's what I want to do. I want to record my brain activity using an EEG, and then they may be able to reverse engineer this thing and actually read my brain thoughts in the future. And not only that, but I'm falling in love with Carl Sagan, and he's throwing that love right back my way. So my EEG, my brain waves that I'm sending out there are going to be soaked with love, and that's just like the most groovy thing that we can do.
It is pretty groovy if you think about it.
And they got married.
Yeah, they got married. They had some kids, and they were together until he died in his 60s, I think in 1992 or 3, I believe.
That's right.
So, and I think I haven't heard it yet, but I heard Radiolab did a pretty good episode about that, about the life signs.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, of course. So, the hardest thing though, Chuck, was coming up with music itself that was representative of the whole world. They didn't want it to just be Western music. For Western music, they chose mostly Beethoven and Bach, again, because like you said, and even an advanced civilization that didn't have ears or didn't hear, didn't sense things like that. They would still be able to analyze it and be impressed by it, see the beauty and magic in it. But they also chose some rhythm and blues as part of the Western music that they included too.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there was, besides Bach and Beethoven, there's other classical pieces on there, but you got to represent humanity. You cannot represent humanity without the contribution of African American music, which was basically the birth of all popular music with blues, jazz, and then rock and roll.
Right.
So they thought Chuck Berry, Johnny Be Good, got to throw that up there.
Yeah.
Dark Was the Night by Blind Willie Johnson. Very kind of one of those early kind of creepy sounding blues jams. Melancholy Blues by Louis Armstrong and his Hot Seven. And I thought it was funny. Dave included this too. I actually remember this. Saturday Night Live had a joke way back when, because this was all over the news, where they said the space aliens' message back would be send more Chuck Berry.
Right. It was Steve Martin doing his psychic character, Kokua.
Yeah, that was great.
Who was receiving telepathic messages from the aliens who had intercepted the Voyager probes.
You would think the Beatles would be Natch, and they were, except that it didn't work out. All four of the Beatles said, yeah, we'd love to be on. There were copyright issues, so they did not make the cut.
So I read an article by Timothy Ferris saying that was an urban legend, that they had never thought to, or that they had never tried to, that they hadn't included the Beatles. And apparently part of the urban legend is that the Beatles song they were trying to get was Here Comes the Sun. And he's like, that would have been funny for a very short while. And then, but he said that that was a rumor.
Oh, interesting. That's disappointing, because I would think that would be, worthy of consideration.
Chuck Berry and Bach. Those are your choices, Chuck.
Bob Dylan, they thought about, apparently. But they were like, I don't know. Dylan might be wondering what the heck he's talking about.
That smells like an urban legend, too.
You think?
Yeah, and Timothy Ferris didn't address it one way or the other, but
you just are cynical about that?
It just smells like one, you know what I mean?
No, I think it...
Smell it.
It smells real to me.
Hold on.
I'm a big Dylan fan, though.
No, it's an urban legend.
They also had music of the world. They had a didgeridoo, of course, some pan flute action,
yeah,
a little Indian raga, Navajo chant, little mariachi jams.
Yeah, Azerbaijani bagpipes.
Amazing.
Yeah. What else?
Music from all over the world, basically. Which is what you got to do. It is strange though that Johnny Be Good was the only pop music they put on there.
Yeah, and again, this Timothy Ferris recollection of it was that that there was some dissent about including Chuck Berry. I think that it was too adolescent, is what one of the people said. And Carl Sagan was like, well, there's a lot of adolescents that live on planet Earth, so it actually is pretty representative.
Yeah.
So it ended up on there. But yeah, it is surprising that, say, like the Beatles or something, especially from, this handful of potheads working on this project, you'd think for sure that they would have chosen something like that, but they didn't.
They put like a Yes tune on there or something like that.
Right. They'd put 2112 in its entirety.
Right. Early Genesis.
Which was good, but it got way better when Phil Collins took over.
Oh, we've talked about this.
I know. So one of the things that Carl Sagan did after this project, and by the way, that laughter, there's apparently a big mystery about whose laughter it was on that sound essay when humanity comes in and is walking with the heartbeat going.
Yeah.
And as Atlantic writer tried very hard to get to the bottom of it, and she believed that she finally got in touch with Sasha Sagan, Carl Sagan's daughter, Carl and Ann's daughter, who said, I talked to my mom and she said that that was my father's laughter, and it was confirmed with Ann. But then Timothy Ferris threw a wrench in the work because he was there too, and he's like, look, I knew Carl Sagan very well and I heard his laugh plenty of times and it didn't sound anything like that. So they're kind of like, we're just going to go with it being Carl Sagan's, because I think she'd spent years trying to figure this out and was really happy when she did, and then was really crestfallen when it turns out that that wasn't the case. And that was Adrian LaFrance, who spent years trying to figure that mystery out.
Well, Sagan was a scientist. He wasn't a mad scientist. And that's what it sounds like a little bit.
It does. It sounds like somebody on some bad grass.
Yeah. So in the end, I think you could consider the project a success in a way, in that it launched and they got what they felt like worked. But I think Sagan had a pretty good take on it, which was, this isn't perfect, but we're not perfect. So pass the Ducci and let's just launch this thing.
Right. So he calculated, and he wrote a book about this whole thing called Murmurs of Earth. And it kind of recounts the entire project. Like if you really step back and look at it, it's a handful of people who came up with a pretty cool idea, got a bunch of people together to kind of contribute to it, and tried to be ambassadors of Earth. At its barest, that's what it is. At its fullest, it's one of the grandest gestures humanity's ever been involved in, really. This really hopeful, throwing a message in the bottle into the cosmic ocean, basically, as Sagan put it. In however you feel, you're going to kind of fall somewhere in between that spectrum. But either way, it was a remarkable project, and just something. It was so Carl Sagan. There aren't that many people out there, especially alive at the time that he was alive, who would have done that. And not only just thought to do it, had the connections at NASA to do it, to talk people into doing this, and then to actually do it and get it done and get some records out there in space floating around in the hopes that maybe one day some aliens will find it and know that we were here and maybe come looking for us and wipe us out.
Totally.
So that's Golden Records, huh?
That's Golden Records.
If you want to know more about Golden Records, go search them on the internet. There's a bunch of really cool stuff out there about it, and we think you're going to like it. And since I said that, it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this short and sweet. Hey guys, greetings from surprisingly sunny London. I just finished listening to your newest episode on Nazi gold, and while it kills me that I can't even tell you which one, I am working on a legal case about one of the gold hoards and legends that you mentioned. And
Wow.
if it gets made public, I will of course dish out the details, but until then, just know that it's every bit as wild, thrilling, and Indiana Jones meets the Goonies as you could possibly imagine. So
Man,
frustrating.
I can't wait. She wouldn't even give us anything like, don't tell anybody this, or don't read this as listener mail, but
Nothing.
here's the real dirt. Nothing.
No.
Nothing. Just a straight up like, hey, I've got all this information that I'm not going to share with you.
No, that is...
And now, Chuck, you've turned around and done this to everybody else.
I know. That's anonymous even, to add insult
Thanks a
to
lot,
injury.
Anonymous. That thanks is dripping in sarcasm, too.
Yes.
Well, if you want to be like Anonymous and just straight up tease us with information that you may or may not be able to share in the future, okay, that's fine. You can send us an email. You can wrap it up, spank it on the bottom, and send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio's How Stuff Works. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Everyone knows winter is the real mess maker. You don't need WeatherTech floor liners for summer unless you hit the beach and half the beach ends up back in your car, or the campsite dirt ends up in your trunk. Then you'd want a cargo liner, or a road trip goes sideways, lemonade spills, ketchup goes rogue, ice cream drips. Yeah, you'd be pretty happy about those WeatherTech seat protectors. So just to be clear, as the mud you're inevitably going to step in this summer, you don't need WeatherTech unless you plan on doing summer. Visit WeatherTech.com today.
Every parent should know the car ride soundtrack. Are we there yet? How much longer? I'm bored. Well, if you're taking an extensive car ride anywhere and you've downloaded the Lingo Kids app prior to leaving the house, you may experience something strange, right, Chuck?
That's right. You may experience silence from the back seat. Your kid may go an entire car ride without asking once if they were there yet. How about that? And by chance of miracle, they may even ask if you could drive longer.
Yeah, that's the magic in Lingo Kids. Over 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, including their favorite Disney characters. It turns the longest drives into the easiest ones, and honestly, you won't understand why you didn't download it sooner.
That's right. Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids, and it's free to download. Or go plus with the Lingo Kids subscription and unlock even more content your kids won't be able to get enough of. You can save up to 60% on the yearly plan. Just search Lingo Kids in the App Store or Google Play. Lingo Kids, everything kids love.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.